and gentlemen, welcome. We are live. I am your host, Shon Black, doing it back. And I don't know why my TikTok is not going live right now. It should be again, but it says your access may be revoked if you violated community guidelines, failure to no longer meet this requirement to go live, gaming, creative, streaming. Okay, whatever. You know what, TikTok, y'all be tripping. It's all right, cause a lot of my joints don't come from there anyway, and so it just is what it is. If they don't want me to go live there, I just won't go live. All right. I have all of you guys on the book, all of you guys that are out there on all of my other socials. So it's good. I mean, I hate that it's like that, but it is what it is. But today, ladies and gentlemen, we will be talking about here this, that, this, and that. All right. And I'm not saying it out loud because you never know. They might strike me down. And I don't want to get struck down, but that's what it is. But hey, let me tell you something right now. Let me tell all of you something right now. Okay? Listen to me when I'm talking to you. Listen to Black when I'm talking to you. Huh? There's a lot of people out there that told Black. There's a lot of people out there that told Black, yo, Black, you gotta get this right here. You gotta get jabbed up. You gotta get jabbed up because the 19 will get you. There's a lot of people out there that wanted Black to get the 19. They say, yo, you gonna get the 19 if you don't get that. If you don't cover up. Walking around like the Mandalorian out here. You want to get the 19, and guess what? Now we know through private. Let me back up, okay? You can't go into the federal system and think that you're going to be able to hide nothing. Just so you know, okay? Whatever you do in the federal system, please know that they have a record. I don't care what you do. You try to delete it. I don't care if you try to delete. It's not going to work out for you, buddy. You're not going to just go in there and just delete all of your emails, all of your chat messages. That's not how the federal government works, because they will recover whatever it is. Unless you like Hill. If you like Hill and Bill, unless you can hire a company that can get rid of that for you, you're not getting rid of that, all right? It's just not going to happen. It's not happening. Sorry, it's just not happening. All right? So now we're talking about when they were telling you do all this distancing, when they were telling you do all of these things that were happening, and I don't know how old the viewership is right now, but if you remember 6 years ago, it was going down. You couldn't be in the store. You had to wrap up. You gotta watch dudes walking around with gloves, and some dudes had like space helmets on with oxygen coming over. It was crazy, and they was talking about how people was in there, and there was, all of this stuff unaliving going on in hospitals and all kinds of crazy stuff. And at the time, there were some people who was just like, yo, you know what I'm saying? Guess what? We not, they were like, yo, you got to go in there and get jabbed up. And people were like, nah, I don't think I want to do that. And they say, you know what? You're going to be fired from your job. Because you have to trust the science. That's what they said. Trust the science. You have to trust it. The science, everything is the science. You gotta trust the science. Because the science, this guy down here, Fauci, he is science. Remember that? He said, I am science. And nobody thought anything of it. And a lot of people jab themselves up for their jobs or whatever it is that they do. Now, whatever your reason was, if you were one who jabbed up, whatever your reason was is irrelevant. All right? It's irrelevant. My issue, the issue that I have with most of that wasn't the fact that people jabbed up, because that was their choice. They made choices. You make choices in life. Everything is a choice. You can make the choice to jab if you want to. If you want jab, jab. But what you did, what you, not you personally, but what the Govy did under this clown was tell people they couldn't work. And if you didn't take it, you was a bad human being, and that you wouldn't be allowed in stores, you was shunned. And the media was on the joint talking about how many people, it was your fault if you was unjabbed. If you were unjabbed, it's your fault you were unjabbed and you were unaliving people. That's what they told people. Because this clown was telling people all of this stuff, and now come to find out in his personal memoirs that he didn't believe none of that. None of it. He didn't believe any of it. All of it was a farce. You had people put their lives on the line for a farce. How many people lost family members because of the stuff that they were doing? How many people passed out into the next life with no family members and no loved ones and none of that? Huh? Fly Puerto Rican says she did. We know. How many people who lost loved ones because this fool put on a farce? It's a farce, bro. It's nothing. Look, let me tell you something. It's nothing people can say right now that's going to change the facts on the ground today. Today. You go back and watch the earlier shows where we were talking about all of that. I mean, hopefully, and I'm going to go back through and see if I have any of those old videos, and I'm going to play some of the stuff. You can go online now and look at all the media people out there that went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth telling you were a bad person because you were unjabbed. You were unjabbed. You were unjabbed, and because you were unjabbed, it wasn't good. That's what they said, right? You know what I mean? Uh, I have I am truthfully I am truthfully um disappointed. And it, again, if you decided that's what you wanted to do with your life, then by all means, you were more than welcome to do all of that, right? You know what I mean? You were more than welcome to do that. I, I'm 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 not upset. Um, I'm not upset that that happened to you. I'm not upset that you that that was going. I'm not upset. But I think the thing that people were upset about is the fact that you you made other people feel like they couldn't they were nothing. You know what I mean? You made other people feel like they weren't anybody. You made other people think that their lives didn't mean nothing. You made other people think that. You made other people think that. You gave loved ones and family members and everybody else the business because you said that you didn't want anybody else to be a part. You know what I mean? It is it. So listen, hold on. I got sidetracked. I'm sorry. I was trying to log in, and so I did some login and all that stuff. Um, and if you're on the other pages, let me know what's up. But yeah, we let me see what you wrote. It said refused to treat people in hospitals because they weren't jabbed, publicly shamed people. That's right. They publicly were shaming people. They were mistreating people in hospitals. This is personal experience. I personally experienced that. The fly Puerto Rican personally experienced that. You personally experienced, son. True story. True story. I went to I think it was Costco. We were in Costco and we were looking at some stuff and we were in need of a refrigerator or like the shelves inside the refrigerator. So we was in Costco looking around and we found this refrigerator joint was pretty dope. Neither here nor there, right? The lady, young kid, followed up the came up to you, where's your mask? Where is it? Wanted me to put on a mask right then and there. But now we know the whole thing is a farce. The whole thing is a farce. The whole thing was a lie. The whole thing. It was all a lie. It was all a lie. And nobody can say anything different because it was a lie. Yeah, because I flipped all the way out. How many people? Son, they told me at my job. You gonna get this or you gonna either get this jab or you gonna lose your job. So I looked them right in the eye, just like that, looking right in the eye. I said, listen, if I lose my job, it is what it is. But I know how to get this money in the street. It don't matter. I wasn't always this guy. Yeah, for real. That's a fact. That is a fact. It's not even that is a fact. We had exemptions, you know what I'm saying? Drawn up facts. You know what I mean? And we son, a lot of people lost a lot of stuff. A lot of people lost a lot of loved ones and a lot of things, man. And people ought to and now that it's all come out, right? Um now that it's all come out, Everybody who was doing that to those people, son, where are these people at? You don't hear nothing. You hear the news media try to make excuses. Well, he did the best he could for science. For science. You people learn nothing. 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 You know how many people are on the joint right now defending this clown after he had people in hospitals begging for loved ones? And they say, "Oh, Black, uh, you know, you shouldn't act like that. You shouldn't act like that. You shouldn't." People were scared. Everybody was scared. Everybody was scared. Nobody knew what it was. The news was hyping things up. Don't get me wrong. Nobody is that naive or dumb that they did not know that things were going. But guess what, man? Guess what, man? He was lying. He was lying. So now that takes you into, if he was lying, what else would he lie about? What else was he going to lie about? Huh? What else? What else is this fool going to lie about? What was in it? How many people? You know how many people I know that said like their loved ones lost their, like, son. I can go through all kinds of jab injuries that people had, that people talked about their families, family members losing hair, having one side of their body is frozen, all kinds of different things that happen to them, and ain't nobody saying nothing about nothing. Nobody is getting compensated. Nobody is getting justice. And this fool gets up on Capitol Hill and says, on the advice of my counsel, I plead the Fifth Amendment. Yo, absolutely disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. And no accountability. And no, and for all the people who told people that they were unaliving people and giving away, and all the people that did all that, son, where's the accountability for us? The people that stood 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 toes down. We were 10 toes down in the trenches. What about us? What about us that was shunned? Huh? Huh? What about us? We're the ones who said no. We're the ones who went through the scrutiny. We're the ones that you made up these fake cards and told us we couldn't eat in restaurants. You could have told us we couldn't do any of that stuff. We weren't allowed. Pure bloods. And you know what? It is not even being shamed. That's right. Oh, let's not even today, right now. Your social programs, all of these social programs, right? All these social media joints, they were shadow banning people for telling the truth. And to this day, you can't even say the C word, or you gotta say jab, you gotta say all these things in different ways, because you would be banned, your accounts would be shadow banned, and they would take your account from you. This is all the stuff that they were doing to all of us who didn't believe in what they were talking about. Remember, don't take ivermectin. That joint is horse dewormers for horses. Oh, now guess what? Think about all the people. Now think about this. Think about all the people who, if they would have taken ivermectin, right, throughout the world, throughout the world, right? They say they were taking it throughout the world to help combat this 19. Now we know, now we know that certain forms of cancer is parasites, caused by parasites. Guess what? Guess what? Unalives parasites. Because does anybody have any idea what unalives a parasite? Huh? Huh? Does anybody have any idea what that would be? Ivermectin! So no wonder they didn't want you taking the no wonder they didn't want you to take it. No wonder they talked about it and they did that because guess what? You know what they're into? They're into keeping you sick, brother. They want you to be sick. They want you to be sick. They don't want you well. They want you sick. And so if everybody was taking all of that, how many people that unknowingly had different kinds of different forms of this stuff in their bodies would have been killing off the very parasites that were making them sick in the daggone first place. It was strategic. It was strategic. The whole thing was strategic. You think Fauci didn't know? Of course he knew. Of course he knew. You know when I knew it was serious? You know when I knew it was serious? They laid out 8 pages of jab injuries that you possibly get some half of that stuff. Word to my mother, half of that stuff you can't even pronounce 98.89% of that. Can't even pronounce. There's stuff on there, all these heart problems, all of these issues that you will have because you took this vaccine, this jab. And guess what? You think the government is going to reimburse you? No! As the Tuskegee Airmen. Not the airmen. I said that wrong. As the Tuskegee people in the Tuskegee experiment. Ask them. Did they get reimbursed? Come on. And apparently this dude did the same things with the AIDS virus. Allegedly. So, my rant and rave today, and this is a special joint because I'm usually not on Tuesdays. Usually not here on Tuesdays. Blacks usually not here on Tuesdays. But today I had time. But today I had time. And I think for me today, um, I think today I'm trying to share this live. I'm sorry. Like and share. Like and share. Share these lives. It's important. It's all the way important to share these lives because people need to know what the truth is. The truth is that everybody that needs to be held accountable for their actions is not going to be held accountable for their actions. You know what I mean? They're just not going to be held accountable for their actions. All right? And those of us who held it down, those of us who, and not because we're great at anything. That's the thing. It's not, oh, I didn't hold it down because, oh, I'm just this great guy and I was able to do this or do that. That's not why. That's not the reason. It was the power of Christ. I was able to do that because of the power of Christ. No more, no less. We trusted in God to take us where we needed to go. Know what I mean? And by God's grace, we were able to go through. Some people didn't have it in them within themselves to say, "Yo, I'm not going to," or "I'm going to," or you know what I mean. Some people didn't have that within themselves to do that. Me personally, I'm saying the Lord was with me, so I was able to do, to trust in Him to take me to that level where I could trust, say, okay, no matter what happens, if we lose our jobs, we're just going to lose them. If we're just going to do it, we're just going to do it. It's just, but we need to kind of like get off this train. We can't get in there and get off this train. Now, and the Lord is good in that way. It's I don't know. For me, I feel some kind of way about that whole thing, especially now that we know that it was straight up lie, and it was always a lie, and no matter what happened, it was a lie, and nobody, and I mean nobody gave us, the people who did not want the jab, nobody gave us any consideration. We were the pariahs of the planet until now. Now, if you got the jab, you can't even donate blood. Joint's crazy. Can't donate blood. So who are they coming for? Pure bloods, like myself. That's who they're coming for. They're coming for pure bloods. They're coming for people that want to sell it. When they're hot commodity. Stock in my blood is high. I wouldn't give them any anyway. You want to know why? Because when you wanted it, when I was in it, you didn't want it. What you wanted to do was do what you wanted to do. You didn't want to be a part of what we had going on. And so because of that, my blood is my blood. It's what it is. They say, oh, black, what happens if you need blood? Well, I'm sure another pure blood will give me blood because that's the way it works, right? You can't donate blood if you've had the vax or the jab. So now I'd have to get my blood from the pure source, from Shangri-La, from the fountain. That's right. I said it. So what? Don't care. And I know this is going to be controversial, but I don't care. You know why I don't care? Because nobody cared about us when you was talking about you wanted to give us your concentration camp cards where we had to put our names and our dates and give us that and show our papers. Nobody cared when black didn't have papers to show. Nobody cared. That's why. And it's only 5 or 6 years ago. It's not that long ago, but you know what's going to happen? Just like with 9/11, just like with the Berlin Wall, just like with the Cold War, just like with all of those different things, all of that stuff is going to fall away to the wayside. Ain't nobody going to remember that stuff, but I will, because loved ones were lost in that battle, in that fight. There was casualties that, unfortunately, that that were unalived, and so it's personal. Personal. He said, "Well, people lost people too, because why? Because of the lie? Don't tell me because they were unjabbed. Because we know now that never worked. We know now that masks never worked. Well, we knew that before because it was right on the website, right on the CDC's own website. But we know officially that it didn't work. Officially. Even though we knew that then too. Officially, we know that the jab didn't work. Officially. Look at all the children that were hurt behind that. All the children, forget me, forget all of that, the jab, all that, forget all that. Forget all the children from third grade to fifth grade who lost the ability to really do the math because they were at home and they struggle, and today they struggle in schools. All over the globe, kids are struggling. Look at all the people, who were like, that still today have masks on. Today. even after all of this come out, that still they're mentally messed up because they think the mask is going to save them. Think of all the people today that are messed up behind that. And this dude gets on the stand and pleads the fifth. It's outrageous. It should be outrageous to everybody. It should be outrageous to everybody. Everybody and their mom should be outraged behind any of that. It should be outraged. You should be outraged. You know what I mean? Yeah, people should be outraged, man. I don't care what nobody says. This is what it is. But you know what? You know what's going to happen? A lot of people not going to do nothing. A lot of people just going to do what they want to do. They're going to pretend like they don't see nothing, they don't hear nothing. That's what they're going to pretend. They're going to pretend like none of that stuff happened. People are going to just sweep it under the rug. And let's not get it twisted, okay? It's an election cycle. You know what I mean? And what happens in election cycles is all of this stuff is going to bubble up to the surface. All of it's going to bubble up to the surface, and at the time, and then once after November comes around and comes and goes, all of it's going to go right back. But people still going to be out there wearing a mask. They're going to still be out there getting boosted and double boosted and triple boosted and quadruple boosted. It's going to still be people who is doing that. It's going to still be people out here that are vaccine injured that's not going to get any kind of, they're not going to get any kind of reprieve. They ain't going to get none of that. It's going to be so many people out here that are so messed up. Nobody's going to hold this man, that man right there. They're not going to hold him accountable. They're not going to hold him accountable. Them going to the Senate and all that kind of stuff is a waste of your daggone time. Nobody in that Senate is going to do absolutely nothing about it. I don't know why people even fall for that crap, but they're going to get up there nonetheless and watch him play around, and they're going to allow him to play around, and they're going to do this and do that, and he's going to play. Then they're going to be like, well, you know, we, as a governing body, we try to do our best to do X, Y, Z, PDQ. You know how that works. You know how that works. All of you who are real about that, you know how it works. Man, listen, I don't know a lot about a lot, but I know something a little bit about this, and that as a people, we really have to sit back and we have to remember what was really happening, because a lot of people shouldn't be able to get away with what they did. It's just a fact. And I'm gonna leave it there because this was a short show today. I had no intentions. You know, I missed yesterday. Sorry, I wasn't in the best shape, but I wanted to make sure that I stayed consistent and at least give you guys something. Thank you, everybody that came in. I know there's a lot of people that weren't here because I'm usually not on about this time. So, um, if you get a chance, go back and watch because it's important. You know what I mean? It's important. It's important that we really like hold these people accountable. You need to hold this man accountable. This man needs to be held accountable. If anybody needs to be held accountable, it's this dude. Out of all the people, and I don't call for violence or anything like that, but I'm saying this guy needs to go to the can. They said, well, he's 85. I don't care. If he got the next 30 days left, he need to be in a cell in a brown jumpsuit in a county joint. Word up with the skips on, eating bologna sandwiches. That's what he needs. Word the mother. All right, we be back Friday. I'm your host, Shon Black, Dawn and Matt. TV show and Free for All Friday. Catch up on this Game of Thrones. There's a lot of stuff going on. Last week, the Fly Puerto Rican, I and one of the kids watched the Demon Slayer movie. I've seen it. I went to the movies to go see it, but the Fly Puerto Rican did not. We're going to get her